Welcome to the Coffee Break Show. Today, I have Chad Price on, and I just want to let you know something. This guy is going to rock your world when it comes to making a difference in your business and your life and your health and your purpose. But you will know more about him in just a second. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life. Today, Chad Price, who is a veteran entrepreneur. This guy has done so many things. He is in multiple industries, and he obviously has a notable company, that Kettlebell Kings. You know those kettlebells? Well, we're talking about one of the founding partners of that kettlebell craze that's been going on. And he started from scratch. It's now a multi-million dollar Fortune 5,000 company. It's international fame. And he's also now, believe it or not just health and fitness, but health on a deeper level. He's into hemp and cannabis. He's a hemp and cannabis advocate. And he loves that lifestyle brand. He likes his new brand, which is Life Grow Greens. Did I say that right? Life Grow Greens?
Life Grows Green.
Yeah, Life Grows Green, which promotes health and wellness using all natural ingredients and hemp products. But we're going to be talking about all of those today because he is in multiple industries as an entrepreneur. And I just want to welcome you to the Coffee Break Show today.
Nice to meet you, Vickie. Thank you for having me.
I got to say, Chad, once I started talking about, okay, I'm going to be on the show with Chad, naturally, I was thinking to myself, how did the idea for kettlebells come? Because they're such an unusual shape and everything else. And people love working out with them, because they're in everybody's home, a gym, and at the gym there. It's just such an incredible invention. How did it come about? Let's start there as well.
Sure. I think in 2012, when we came up with the company, we were trying to just figure out an e-commerce brand, and we were trying to figure out, we knew we wanted to do something in e-commerce, and we knew we wanted to do something that was, let's say, niche e-commerce. At the time, I had my backgrounds in athletics. I played sports. I played collegiate football.
Yep.
Been exercising competitively my entire life, but I really was looking for something that I can do at home, something I can do kind of in small spaces, not a lot of equipment needed, more for functional fitness versus, training to be the strongest man in the world, let's say. And so on that journey, I really found kettlebells. And once we did the research, it really wasn't any kettlebell companies on the ground that really built a lifestyle or built a community around the kettlebell specifically. There was companies that carried it, but there were no companies that used that as kind of the main focus. It was more looked at as an accessory to a fitness company. And we wanted to kind of change that. And we could recognize that it was a tool that had a niche kind of cult following behind it. And we really liked that and wanted to build a brand around that idea.
I love what you're saying, because this is one of the key things that all the billionaires say. They look at you and they say, find an underserved market, find a product that can help that underserved market, and go for it. And it looks like to me, that's what you did. You did a bit of research, and, not everybody wants to pump iron and, pump you up till you're the size of, some of all the athletes that are competing in that bodybuilding. You just want to be athletic and in shape and have good tone. And for football, I think you just want to be rock solid personally. And, especially college football and at the professional levels, when you start getting college or professional, you're playing with the best of the best and you're getting hit hard. It's not like, ooh, I got knocked over. And you pop right back up. So maintaining that level of health. And what I like about it is they're pretty easy. You don't have to have this massive thing in your garage or in your home gym that takes up everything. So you're pumping iron in that way. You found a niche, you found an underserved market, and you went after that. And let me just ask you, when you started, educating people about this market, because you found that there wasn't a lot of places in there. When you started educating people, what were 3 things that you guys did that were really successful with helping spread the message, so to speak?
I think one was, a timing thing. We got lucky with social media coming on, the Facebook ads were cheap in 2012. It
Yeah.
was good times to be in online marketing. And so I think that was a lot of it. We were able to pretty cheaply at least let people know we existed. Let them know they could sign up for the different pieces of content that we had to offer. And I think that was probably the second big thing that we did. We knew going in that the kettlebell itself is more of a, let's say, commodity. You can only, tweak a piece of iron so many times.
Yeah.
But the amount of value and the content that you can build around that, the experience you can give the community around that can be a lot more than the improvements that you can just make to the kettlebell itself. And so we want to see ourselves like the ESPN of the kettlebell world, where we're bringing all relevant information from the entire world to one place, aggregating it, sorting it in a way that's easily digestible. And in doing that, we would build out funnels for 6 months, 8 months of just nothing but content. And once those people would go through those content funnels, it's almost inevitable once you want to purchase your next piece of fitness equipment where you're going to get it from.
Yeah, I love that you did that. And I love that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, they keep trying to add a feature to something to reintroduce it to the market and say, well, it's like cell phones. Well, now it can do this. Now it can do
Yeah.
this. Now it can do this. And you're right. You can't do that with a kettlebell. And I love the things that you said. Social media, you caught it at the right time. You were good in that fortunate area. And the second thing that you did with aggregating you didn't leave any of it out. You aggregated all of the kettlebell things so that people could learn more about them. You created funnels that lasted for 6 months. Once you went all the way through the funnel, you knew what equipment you were going to buy and use and how to use it. And so what you did was, you didn't try to plus the actual piece of equipment. You plussed the marketing section of how they could interact with what they bought. That, my friend, is brilliant. That's brilliant marketing in that way. And so after you got to the point where, actually, I kind of want to move off of this, because what I understand is you're actually an entrepreneur. This isn't the only industry that you're in. It's the industry you're most known for. You're one of the founding partners. It's, now 5,000 company, 5,000. You're looking at something that's multi-million, made a craze. You know how to do that, etc. But what are the top 3 entrepreneurial skills that you use personally the most to evaluate the opportunities that you choose to participate in?
I think that's a good question. I mean, if you would have asked me this 10 years ago when I started, definitely be a different answer than it is now.
Yeah.
So, looking at it now, I think the opportunities I'm looking for, I realize after kind of going through this for 10 years that I do kind of have a personal goal to see a better world, to build companies that do good for people. I could never be a cigarette salesman. I could never be a McDonald's franchisee owner. I could never do anything like that. It's against my nature. So the companies that I try to participate in are things that have a positive goal, that can build online communities that people can insert into their life. And just by being associated with that, you will be associated with people who want to see you do better and give you a better experience while you're here. So whether it's fitness, whether it's what you're eating, whether it's the recovery supplements you want to use, I think all of these things are just adding to us having a healthy lifestyle, us having kind of the best type of human experience we can
Yeah.
while we're here on this earth.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing that you're saying that, Chad. I'm going to be as transparent as I can. Um, I was just recently diagnosed with what they call diabetes. It's just that. And I really sat with the choices I had when I did the research, because I didn't know, and nobody in my family has it. It's not, I'm the sole thing. So it's not like There's some hereditary things. So when I got online and I started educating myself, I was like, oh. And what I realized for me is I didn't want to go the pharmaceutical way. And so I took it into, excuse me, to my own hands and said, okay, now we have to change something. And so I think for me, having that online presence where people can go to get that information and make changes, that has helped me a lot. And what I have found is the right supplements for me and the right lifestyle for me and the right type of workout for me, because I got to tell you, I'm not a gym rat. I cannot stand it. I don't know. I just get over there and, sit on the stationary bike. I want to be on the bike outside.
Yeah.
That's me. And so, like, swimming, I like it because I'm moving somewhere, and the stationary stand in place and do one thing and then rotate, do one thing and stand there. I don't like that. So one of the cool things I do like is that um, the amount of information that's out and available to people right now is why I like, kettlebells, because I don't have to be a gym rat. I could be watching TV or out in my backyard or doing what I need to do in order to go ahead and do that. But I liked that you talked about doing things in your business life right now that make the planet a better place. And I'm super grateful for everybody that's done that. I'm doing mushroom supplementing with Ohm and all these great companies that are out there, including, like, I got to tell you, I love hemp. I love hemp milk. I love hemp seeds. I love what it does for you. And I want to talk a little bit about going forward in entrepreneurial ventures. You said something was very important. You said, I can no longer be a part of something that is going to harm the earth or harm another. And to me, I think that should be like on the front cover of Forbes magazine. Chad Price, there it is. Entrepreneur, I can no longer do this. Tell us why, and tell us where you think the future of that kind of, what do we call it, conscious business for this topic. Let's talk about, that conscious business, and what about it for you? It's so imperative that you do not, other than, well, it's just not healthy for you. And I get that it's not healthy, but there's another piece under that. I believe that you're trying to stand for something. Is that true? Or tell us more a little bit about that.
I mean, I think 1,000%. I think we live in an age of data now. So, I
Mhm.
think we had the luxury of living in an ignorant space. Before the internet, people you genuinely didn't know, you weren't supposed to know, you didn't have access to the information. But now I think we do know what the end game looks like if we play things out. I think you can see the quality of our food, the quality of our medicine, the quality of everything from a commercial standpoint is just going down because there is no conscious thought to it actually being better for people. Um,
Yes.
you can try to have government regulations come in and say what's better and what's best for people, but at the end of the day, I think it genuinely has to come from the leadership inside of companies. And if the leadership is just there to get a paycheck, just like everyone else, then we're all doomed. We're all going to a place of uh, the lowest quality, the lowest common denominator, which is not good for anybody. So I try to set the bar not only for myself but for
Mm.
everyone, in the industry when it comes to the quality of products that we're putting out. So I'm I'm not able to create some product that doesn't exist always, but I can present a product that is the highest quality grade available. I can at least make an effort if I'm a company to specialize in bringing you a product that is good for you. If I say that, this product is supposed to be good for you, I don't have to just be good enough. I can actually try to make and push the boundaries on making things the best way possible. And I think that's what we're all trying to do at the end of the day. So I've always done that in sports. I think it's kind of part of my nature to just be competitive in that way. But I also
Mhm.
see the end result, the end benefit of someone applying that in a leadership role inside a company.
I got to say, what you just said just warmed my heart so much. I mean, it's like there's a new wave of people coming up who are starting businesses and really taking a look at the status quo of everything and saying, well, how's this been working for us? How's that been working for us? And that changing the way things, or transforming industries in such a way as to better the mindset, health, and well-being of the world, the whole thing, people profit, planet profits. And right now, I love that, because the planet is really in need. And so we're people that are really in need right now, as we make those adjustments to not just our financial situation. Because if you're wealthy and you're richer than a dog, but you can't go for a bike ride, or you can't go for a walk, then you have zero quality of life, in my opinion. And that's, to me, such a big thing to look forward to. Tell me about the hemp project that you're doing right now. Why are you involved with it? What's the cool thing about that, that's got you completely wrapped up in it?
I'm always looking for expanding markets. I've always been into natural products. I think we're just at the very beginning of the potential of hemp after it's been, stigmatized for the last 100 years, or
Yeah.
however long back you want to go with that.
Yeah.
Um, and I like breaking these. You mentioned kind of the cultural stigmas that I think the world doesn't need anymore. I like breaking them. I like going against them. I like getting people in shape who may have trouble getting in shape. I like getting them to a point where, like you say, they don't have to be an Olympic lifter. They just have to have functional fitness in their life. So I
Yeah.
like presenting these types of opportunities to people, and I think has so many potentials right now, along with other plant products, that the sky's the limit. It's just a matter. The way I look at it is, I try to build a community of people who have a like mind and share a similar lifestyle, and then I want to provide those people with the products that can serve them best. And I am the quality control for doing that. So if you tell me you want it, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to find the best thing available, and then I'm going to try to put some system in place to continuously improve on it. And that's how I try to build all my businesses, basically.
I love that. So, what's your fascination with hemp? I mean, I know that hemp right now is cleaning the soils, taking the toxins out. I know it can replace plastic. It's like the one plant, in my opinion, that could save the world right now. Literally, mean it. It could save the world.
I think if you do research on hemp, you will see how fascinating of a plant it is. And you know, I I was talked out of being a biology major in college because I was told, "What are you going to do with it? You're going to be a doctor?" But genuinely, I have an interest in that kind of stuff on a personal level, where I just love that kind of stuff. I love the idea of finding some plant that can save the world, like that. That
Me
that
too.
intrigues me. I love the mystery of some new plant that can bring products to us, or bring rejuvenating things to us that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And so I think it's some of that kind of that cultural stigma around the plant being such a savior. But at the end of the day, I think there's plants like hemp and just natural products that get frowned upon by the commercialism, by
Yeah.
let's say pharmaceutical companies, and the marketing around the things that we put in our body. And I really want to change that. So I think that's where the fight is right now. And I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of people who are using natural products versus pharmaceutical products as a way
Yes.
to
Me
to
too.
better themselves, or at least a way to use that first before you go down the pharmaceutical path. I think we don't even
Yes.
understand how much we're not utilizing the tools that are kind of right here in front of us that are natural.
I want to talk about that too, because I am the perfect example of that right now. So, when I went to how I found I was even diabetic, I didn't even know. I thought I was having a kidney stone, and I'm in my 60s. I'm not like, hi, I'm 30 something or 40 something. So when I went to the doc and he was, checking everything out, he took a blood to see what was going on, because I was, but what happened was I pinched a nerve in my back that ran along an area where it could feel like a kidney stone. And I was fine there. But because he took a blood test, he came back and he said to me, um, do you have diabetes? And I was like, no, I never had it. And he came up and he told me at that time, I think the sugar count was back then 343. And I was like, what the, cuss word. And so I was like, on the way home, the first thing I said to myself was, not on my watch. Not
Yeah.
on my watch. It's not happening on my watch. So right away, dropped the sugar. Like I haven't had sugar in years. And what I found by not having sugar was all the sugar alternatives that were natural, monk fruit, stevia. I mean, all these things that you can have that don't do anything to your blood sugar. And then naturally, my questions started happening. Why the hell are we using this
Insert
when
curse
we
word.
could be using this? And why the cost of this being so high? Why are we doing this? So I explored it. Now I'm almost in the normal range. I'm now kind of in the pre-diabetic range, and it's only been 18 months that I've been on the path of doing this, just changing a few things. But what I found was, I think you're absolutely right. There's so many empowering things we can do as people that there's not a lot of education. Like if you get on TV or you get on your radio or you get on whatever piece of social media, you're going to see this thing that says, ask your doctor about blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then it'll go through and, your hair will fall out and your gizzards will bleed and
Yeah.
you'll die of cancer and it'll give you an infection and blah, blah, blah. Why would I ask my doctor about that?
Yeah.
It's like
And then at the
crazy.
same time, at the exact same time, you cannot advertise for a CBD cream, for example,
That's right.
at the exact same time. So you have an opioid epidemic going on, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars spent on advertising, and at the very same time, hemp is illegal. It's just it's outrageous. And
Yeah.
so, I think as businesses, we're supposed to kind of try to lead that in the right direction from a cultural perspective. The government has no incentive to really change the laws until the
That's
businesses
right.
are in place to do so. So, if we want things to change, we have to have a structure and people in place that we can say, hey, look how great this is already. And I
Yeah.
want to set the example for what it is to have a positive hemp company. So everyone who is against it can be won over, get on board, finally let that idea die
Understand.
in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw a commercial for I think it was a fundraiser, I'm not sure, but they were hemp shoes. And I was like, yes, finally, hemp
Yeah.
shoes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're waterproof and durable. And the thing
Mhm.
about it's long lasting. It's like this whole move towards hemp has to happen if we want to have that better health and better life. I'm going to switch topics right now because I've noticed something inside the conversation, Chad, that I really admire about you. Your leadership style. Your leadership style, you've been talking about it all the way through here. I want to talk about how you, let's see, how do I say this? How is it that you use your current leadership style, which is you're super self responsible? I can see that from the way you are answering the questions. But how do you use your leadership to identify, because once you look at a good idea, it doesn't mean it's run well or it's has its SOPs in place. What do you do when you take a look at something and identify, yes, I want to be a part of this? Maybe you're an investor, maybe you're a partner in it. But when you step into that, what key leadership indicators do you look for before you say yes?
I
He's
mean,
like, man, nobody's asked me that question before.
yeah, I think it depends. I think a lot of times what I'm trying to do is just understand the game that I'm playing. I think that's always the first step. So whatever that may be, like if you take Kettlebell Kings for example, I had an extensive background in exercising and working out, and
Oh, yeah.
I was probably in better shape
Football.
than most people that would pick up
Yeah.
a kettlebell. Most of my customers are probably in better shape, but I had never used a kettlebell before, and so I had never until I started a kettlebell company was the first, well, when I was thinking about starting a kettlebell company, was the first time that I actually had used it as, a tool in my own workout routine. And so I knew I needed to become an expert in that. And I look at that as like kind of a self-learning project. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find the experts in the field. I'm going to befriend them, go to the events with them. I'm going to try to literally absorb as much information as I can. So what that would look like for Kettlebell Kings was partnering with organizations that may not be profitable, but from a credibility standpoint or from a knowledge based standpoint, it's undeniable. They're internationally recognized as the knowledge base or the official go-to on decisions in that particular space. So I would do that for everything that I'm doing. In the hemp space, I try to do the same thing. You know, I'm going to conventions, I'm going to uh,
Yeah.
if there's politicians that speak on reform, I'm listening to them, I'm following them, I'm seeing which ones are actually full of crap and just using this as a, you know, as a check mark, and which ones actually have some serious intention behind it. So I just try to see myself as a student of whatever I get into, which I think goes back to why I have to kind of personally have some bias towards what I'm doing. So it's hard to learn about something that I'm not interested in. Whereas if it's something that I think needs to change for the world, I'm already very interested in it anyway. So just bring
I
it up.
love this. I can feel alls I feel is your heart for humanity really is when I'm talking to you. It's like I gave him an opportunity to have a humble brag and he didn't take it. He got humble and he said, you know, this is really what I want. I really want to help humanity. I love that about you. You know, I'm going to go back to part of that leadership style that you have. And the word that crossed my mind when you were talking, I was like, this is value-based entrepreneurship. Values based. He knows what his values are. One, he told them to you. I'm telling you, this guy's leadership is off the charts. I mean, come on, it's his fire right now. So I'm like looking at it. You said in the beginning, well, I can't do anything that's going to harm the planet or harm the people. I got to do something that's absolutely going to make people better. I definitely pick things that I know that there is a great purpose for the item, whether it's a kettlebell or hemp or whatever you're choosing to look at the time, because you're multi-industry. So, and then you look at it, how is it going to benefit people? How can I benefit it? Then the second thing is he immerses himself in the industry so he learns everything. He gets around the people that have the most knowledge and creates relationships with them, talks to them. He is in a constant state of learning. Now listen, I want to hear this because I know that there are hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs out there. And we're talking to one right now that I think is the entrepreneur of the future. I think you're actually leading the way in not like, because you know there's tons of baby boomers who are going to say this is how it's done, and it was done that
It
way,
was
but
done.
now Chad, this like everything is different. You can't do the same thing we did and expect the same result we got. You have to do it your way. And so the brand by which you have become, you're a branded entrepreneur. You are a values-based entrepreneur. That branding is I do this, I don't do this. I look at this, I don't look at these. This is where my focus is, and it's 100% is I make my money by helping people feel better, look better, achieve greater things. And it's like your values are so set in there. It's and I gotta say I didn't expect it in this conversation. I'm so impressed at the good fortune of seeing your leadership on the sleeve and the humble nature you have about what you're doing. It's almost like you're in service to the divine. You're almost in service to whatever is there. It's not just a team, it's like a mission or a calling or a vision of what the world could be and not what it is right now. And so you have to look for those certain holes and say, well, if I can educate people here about this, imagine what it could do here. If I could educate people here about that, it's an impressive thing. And I got to say, Chad, I'm waiting for the book. Just got to say.
I'm about 3 months out right now from my first one. Actually, I'm actually working on it as we speak. So
That's
about three
good. And the
months out.
second one should be values-based entrepreneurship right away, you know?
It's interesting that you point that out to me, because through being interviewed recently, someone else kind of pointed out something similar. Someone said, it seems like you kind of are even religious about it. And, you know, like it has almost a religious feel about how you try to build a brand. I'm like, you know, I don't look at it that way, but I think that's how we look at religion as well. It's like it should bring a benefit in our life. It shouldn't
Yeah.
just be something. It should be something we're associated that brings us overall well-being. I think brands are supposed to be that way. So, I think
Yeah,
I'm disappointed when I see the world the way it currently is, and I don't see many people trying to change it in a positive way. So I look at it as like, okay, well, at least if I go out there and do it, I'll find more people like me, and I'll personally be
that's right.
happier. I'll find those networks and make those networks stronger. And so that's what I'm always trying to do. I'm always trying to build communities and align people that have those similar ideas, so we can actually make the place a better world.
You are totally a world change maker. You really, and you've already done it. It's like you've done a lot of the hard work in there that is done there. And I think that, it's interesting. Um, Somebody can use a gift that they have so much they don't even realize that it's their gift. They're just using it all the time. It's like somebody who runs fast and can catch the ball well. Notice that I went to a football
Yeah.
analogy. So they can run fast and they catch the ball well. They're so busy running fast and catching the ball well that until they have something to compare it to, like,
Mhm.
am I faster than these five fast guys? Can I catch better than these guys here? Until somebody says to them, you're actually pretty good at this. You can do these things, etc. You realize, oh, I may be on the fastest one on this team. You don't realize that it's actually a gift. And I don't know where you learned your leadership style, but I imagine there's quite a bit from sports, because sports is a lot of leadership. It's a lot of leadership skills and a lot of team building skills. And there's a group of people that you have to utilize everyone to get the goal or the achievement done. And that means everybody has to know their part and what they're doing and how it blends, and being aware and mindful as they go forward. But I want to ask you something. When it comes to business, how much of your athletic leadership have you infused into your business life? And, or is it a personal perspective maybe you learned from a parent, an auntie, or somebody that, or a blend of those, that has created this kind of new paradigm leadership that you are displaying and we're talking about today? I personally think your leadership is the most fascinating part of you.
I mean, I think it comes from quite a bit of sports. Even like I was saying, if I had answered these questions 10 years ago, I wouldn't realize how much so. But now, kind of self-reflecting on where I am, how I've got here, what we had to go through to get here, it's not much different. You're creating circumstances that are similar to practice. You're having events happen that are like games, and you're having to deal with, trials and tribulations of competing against other teams. It's
Yeah.
a very similar perspective to sports. And so from that mindset, I've always been the person on my team that's like, hey, everyone, we can still do this. We're down by 60. It doesn't matter. I've always been that person. And it just comes natural to me. I don't know at what point in my life I decided to take on that responsibility, but I can't remember a time when I wasn't that way. Um,
Wow, that's
and so
cool.
now it's just setting my correct expectations for people. Obviously, I can't expect people to be as intense as, an Olympic athlete when they're coming
Sure.
to do social media management or whatever that may be. But I can still try to create a competitive playing field for them, and still try to treat things like practice for them and give them feedback like practice. Get on them sometimes, give them hard practices, give them easy practices, give them days off. It's all of the lessons I learned are still applicable. And
Yeah.
I've done things that are so hard in sports that this is not easy. It's different hard, but you're not in any physical danger here. You're not gonna break your leg. You're not gonna,
Yeah.
you're
That's
not
right.
gonna die from a heart
Not
attack.
going to have a heart attack on the
No heat
field.
stroke, none of that. So it does allow me to put things in perspective and bring a team with me, because I'm cooler under pressure, because I've been through it, because I've been through so many fires before.
Okay, I want to talk about your confidence builders. How do you build confidence in yourself in a project? Let's say you're walking into a thing that you really don't know, and you're starting to lead. I know you're going to conferences, you're learning, you're doing all that. How do you build your personal confidence around a new item or a new brand or a new opportunity?
I think it starts with my learning. I am a pretty self-aware person. I went to Rice University, so I know I'm not the smartest person on the planet. Uh, but I do know I'm an intelligent person, and I can pretty quickly judge where I am in comparison on a topic to someone else's knowledge level. So a lot of it's just starting with me putting myself in those circles and networking with those circles. Once I get to a point where I can talk high level with people who are super educated in whatever I'm interested in, then that gives me a little more confidence that I know what I'm talking about. But before that point, and that could be years, before that point, I'm just a learner. I come to someone with complete humbleness, like, please teach me, master, like teach me your ways. And I really have always had that mindset. It's very easy for me to put my ego aside and learn from someone when I don't know anything. I think that's probably a big asset that I have that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, me too. I've been very fortunate with that. I want to reiterate what you said. He can put his ego aside and learn from whoever is willing to teach them.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And it's interesting because when you've done as much as you've done and you've achieved the kind of success that you've achieved, you could be and become really someone who is arrogant, and you're so not. You have so much heart, and I don't mean the heart of a lion like you have that from football. I'm talking about tender, open heart that looks at the world and loves everything about it so much that it really wants to take all of its leadership to improve quality of life across the board. And that's like a hell of a mission to have in your heart. Like, if you play on the team, I want to help the whole team improve, the whole team win, the whole team feel joy. Let me ask you, I just think this is part of the biggest questions I have in my businesses. How do you pick teammates? How do you pick partnerships? What do you look for in other people outside of, oh, well, they match my values?
I think I would break that down in kind of two different areas. One would be like picking, your equals, and then other is kind of how do you build a team of, like-minded individuals. When you're trying to pick like a partner in a business, I think it's very important that you share some of the same values. You
Yes.
discuss some of these conversations prior to starting a business. The good thing for me and the fortunate thing for me is I was friends with the people that I started a business with before. So we knew the values. We knew we wanted to start a business before we knew what that business was. We were talking about different business ideas, why this over that. And so we got through a lot of the personal and, let's say, our personal reasons for actually wanting to get into it. But if you don't have if that similar vision when you start, if one person's in it for money and the other's in it for joy, you're eventually going to come to a just to an extreme point of friction. uh,
Yeah.
and then when it comes to the rest of the team, I think it's just like any other major organization. I think you have to be able to look at society and try to build commonalities between people versus prey on what makes us different. Um,
Yes.
if you're on a football team, for example, I didn't like all my teammates at all. I can guarantee you, I didn't. They didn't. Some of my teammates didn't like me. But if we all come there with an appreciation for why we're there, and the main reason we're here is to win or to make each other better, to graduate, whatever that is, you can appreciate something about someone,
Yeah.
and you can see their efforts. And so I try to lead that way and set the tone for the company. And then I try to find people who can see that I'm doing that, whether they're like me or not, whether Democrat, Republican, black, white, you name it. And then put those people in more positions of leadership. So everyone is understanding that the team
Mm.
coming first, that camaraderie, we're here to get the job done, not judge each other, not, bicker amongst ourselves. It's us against the world. If we can establish that on the ground first, everything else comes a lot easier.
That is just that made me kind of teary-eyed, actually. I was like, learning to appreciate something about someone regardless of how you like or dislike them. and coming together for a cause so that you know what you're doing together and appreciating what they bring to that cause that works. Right now, I know there's probably some new entrepreneurs right now, and they're doing the hustle and the grind, and they're just starting up, and everything's a wreck, and they don't know what they don't know yet. Three pieces of advice you could give to them and say, you know, you know, here's a mistake I made. Don't make this mistake. What would be three things you would share with them?
Um, Especially starting out, be prepared for the struggle in those first years. It's hard to grow any company and pay yourself. So, I think that's one of the things people don't realize. Every dollar you take away from the company is a dollar that you could have gained a customer or grown the company. And so you find yourself in this dilemma, especially if you have partners, of how do you actually sustain your needs in life versus investing or reinvesting into the company. So I think figuring that out early, especially once you have something, year one, year two, you actually have some traction, you may want to go out and think about an investment or maybe a more long-term plan, deciding whether you are in the company to sell or in the company just to hold and be a part of it. I think these are some of the decisions that I look back on, and if I would have chose or made a decision more or sooner in the time frame, I may have
Mm,
I may have come out a little bit better. But
wow.
at the end of the day, I think you got to get out on the playing field and start taking shots. I don't think you can have regrets. I think you have to look at it the same way you look at a sports game. If you don't take any shots, you won't make any points, and if you don't play, you won't win any games. And so I think at the end of the day, don't be scared to lose. Be
Mhm.
scared to not learn, but don't be scared to lose. Losing is part of the game. You have to get out there and lose some battles. That's how you get experience. That's how you get your scars, your war wounds, and by going through that, you know what not to do next time. I think what knowing not to do is sometimes more valuable than knowing what to do.
Man, that is some of the best advice ever. I really like this. Um, Chad's here right now, and I got him with me here, and I'm going to press him a little bit. I'm like, this dude needs a book out, doesn't he? On entrepreneurship and leadership for conscious businesses that are coming out right now. This is the face of what new entrepreneurship looks like. It's not just bottom line. It's not about greed. It's not about, pillaging and plundering to make profits. This is about a better world. This is about a better quality of life for everyone involved. The guy is win, win, win. If I win, you win, the customer wins, the world wins, everybody wins. This is what new business is about. And I am loving this fresh perspective. This guy has already made it to the Inc. 5000 once. And this is already, there's so much he's going to be doing over the years that is going to be helping humanity. This is what they call that values-based entrepreneurship. This is service. I got to tell you, Chad, if people wanted to even, do you coach at all people? Do you coach entrepreneurs, or are you just like, well, I invest in businesses and I grow businesses?
I am actually doing some mentoring more than coaching. So I do mentorship for Rice and different things like that. But um, I've done some consulting work, but not any kind of like life coaching necessarily. Not saying I wouldn't, but at the end of the day, I am pretty passionate about what I'm doing right now. So I would prefer to take on a project than to be someone's life coach. But that's just because I literally want to get as much as I can done while I'm here on this planet. So
Yeah. So if Chad is speaking to your heart right now and you're a company and you're like, he's got the kind of vision we want and we need a little consulting, you can contact him at chadprice.com. Chad Price, www, Chad, CHAD, Price as in common spelling, PRICE.com. And you can, get a consultation hour with him and show him your plan or whatever else. What would you tweak? What would you do? You can do that. You can have him look at that. But what I want to say to you is, if you think Chad could benefit your business's team, if you could benefit from listening to him talk about how to work together, how it is that you can move together as a whole, and how to appreciate each other better so that the culture of your business has more productivity. That is definitely a reason I would go to chadprice.com and go, his whole site's up there. You can go talk to him and everything else. And also, you can take a look at some of the businesses he's involved in right now and take a look at what he's doing. I want to talk the last thing. What's the product that people can buy from this hemp business? And the name of the hemp business is Life Grows Naturals.
It's Life Grows Green, and you can
Life
check
Grows
us. Yeah,
Green.
you can check us out. We have our website as well, lifegrowsgreen.com, on all social media channels as well as Life Grows Green. We have quite a few products. We have CBD products, so if you're interested in CBD, you can purchase those there. But then we also have hemp-based products that are, hemp protein powders. We have
Love it.
peanut butter, salves. We have quite a few, and we should be dropping, I think, another 12 products over the next two to 4 weeks. So it's like I say, for the way I look at it is, it's not a specific product. It's a community of people who share the same mindset,
Yeah.
and I want you to be able to come to this place and feel like you can be guaranteed that someone is looking out for the quality of the products that you're getting. I think that at the end of the day, a brand is supposed to represent trust, and that's what I really want to give to this space, is a brand that people can trust.
Wow, I just love it. I know I'm going to be over there in a minute too because I love hemp powder a lot. It's so good prior to the bike ride to have that and just it's really great. Listen, this has been the Coffee Break Show. I bring the best guests from around the world to help you with your business, your family, and your life. And today with Chad Price, we did all three: the business, family, and life, the future of entrepreneurship. I am going to press him after this call about his book. I know. I'll even introduce him to my publisher just to get that book out for him. Anyway, I will talk to you next week on the Coffee Break Show. Chad, it was amazing. The conversation didn't even go anywhere where I thought it would go. You are such an amazing leader, such an amazing ambassador of this new type of leadership and entrepreneurship. I'm so proud of the work you do. I'm so proud. And I want to say thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.